Hi, everybody. I am the liberal conservative. I'm in the liberal conservative room. I'm Roy Brodman. Hi, how are you? Last week I kind of talked a little bit about the Democratic convention. I said I'd get back to everybody and give you my opinion of the Republican convention. And again, just to fill in, I mean, I've watched conventions forever. I mean, there's some conventions I love, some I didn't love, regardless of what party was in it. You know, going back to the first time I voted was for McGovern. McGovern was going to, save the world, and he lost to Nixon. He got one. I think got one state, one of the biggest landslides ever. So, but I remember the convention. It was crazy. Everybody, in contrast to 1968 with the riots in Chicago, this convention was a little bit calmer, and McGovern was going to, pass it. Was going to make the world better. Moving forward, post Ford, it was interesting when Carter was chosen as the candidate. Obviously won, and again going forward, it was Reagan. It was interesting with the Republican conventions going up there, with Reagan, and I'll even go forward to the to Obama's first convention. That was fantastic. I mean, I cried when I saw Obama. When Obama was selected as the candidate. I had supported Hillary earlier on, but it was really, I thought it was really cool that a guy like Obama, first, African American, black, I don't know whatever the political correct way to say it is today, president. Again, going back to there, I mean, it was, it's a few things weren't. I don't think were cool. I mean, Michelle Obama made comments. Just the first time she's ever been proud of America. Wright, Reverend Wright, but I didn't hold that against Obama. I voted for him twice. And as I said earlier, I would have probably voted for Biden in 2016. And but I thought, as I said, I thought the Democratic convention was basically a bust. One of the problems is the number of celebrities they use. Celebrities are great. I want to see them in the movies or on TV or listen to their music, or their artwork, whatever. I'll do that. I don't think they're any smarter than me as far as making the decision on America and what I think America should be. Most of them are probably less insightful. They just want to say what their agents or their studios or their whomever tells them to say to make them happy, so they can continue to make films and make money. But that be that as it may. Move forward to the Republican convention. Honestly, I mean, it wasn't in Jacksonville, or it wasn't in North Carolina. It wasn't in either of those places. But I think it was. I thought it was amazing. Instead of bashing, well, look. The idea of the president is he has to stand on his accomplishments, and the opposition party basically blasts the president. So I kind of get that. But as I said the other day, I thought the Democratic convention was like an infomercial. An infomercial where, you've already bought the product. I bought the oh yeah, it's on again. Oh, what's it? What it does that and does this. Oh yeah, okay, I'm done. Turn it off. I did watch the speeches, as I told you, at the end of the convention. The important speeches, but for the most part, it was a turn off. In contrast, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen for the Republican convention. And I know you're going to say, well, that's because the way no, that's not because that's the way, that's where I lean, or I lean now. But it's because it was a much more influential and better convention. Democrats, brought up a few Republicans that are kind of, or anti-Trumpers and people that you expected to be, Kasich and some others. The Republicans had I don't know, dozens, I'll say maybe more, but dozens of Democrats or ex-Democrats that are supporting Trump. Uh, a number of influential black people are also, but again, that doesn't mean anything. There's black people that support, black Americans that support Trump, and there's black Americans that don't like Trump, and basically the election is going to be on Trump's record and his personality. But again, I thought the first day of the convention was really great. CNN and MSNBC basically said they thought it was a very dark convention, or broadcast, I guess. It's a convention, but it's really not a convention. But when they went a little further, they said, yeah, it was a dark convention because of what everyone said the country was going to be like if Biden is elected. And I didn't, I kind of, maybe, I guess if that's the case, yes, I guess the country could be dark if the things that the Republicans said Biden stands for is going to come to pass. And I'll say that's as far as I'll comment. This wasn't to be an opinion show. The subsequent nights were the second day was probably better than the first. The third day, was a little slow, but there was more showing, how we're dealing with. It wasn't an advertisement for Trump. Let's put it like this. It was more, Pence's, a supportive vice president, and Karen and Mike Pence made their speeches. And then, move forward to day 4, and that was yesterday, and it was a circus. I mean, look, when President Trump does anything, any type of function, he has a tendency to go overboard. But it was, honestly, it was a great show. From the opera singers to the speeches, to the fireworks display over the Washington Monument. I guess the president has to pay for that, or the PAC has to pay for that. And again, I haven't listened to I haven't really listened to CNN or MSNBC about the convention because I'm doing this kind of early after the convention just ended. And I didn't want to be biased to what they might say. But there were dozens of people that came that came to the podium, spoke about President Trump, promises made, promises kept, employment, prison reform, even COVID. People are can fight back and forth about how anybody could have been ready for COVID. And again, people who don't like President Trump complain that he wasn't ready, or he should have done this, or should have done that. People like Trump, support him, and say he did the right thing. We don't know if there's, or they don't know if there was a president that could have, as I said, could have been able to handle this. So again, that's always going to be, the tipping point on each side. So things that, but the things that were more plausible, or the things that were more measurable, not plausible, but measurable, were clear. I mean, the president did most of the things that he promised to do. Things that he tried to do that basically where he was supported by the Congress. Other things that he did by depending the phone, by executive order, and when President Obama did a bunch of executive orders, the Democrats went to court, and when President Trump does executive orders, the Democrats go to court. The thing that really got to me was after all 4 days, but after the fourth day, and I watched all the conventions on C-SPAN, so I wouldn't get any biased, rhetoric from either of the sides. In 4 days after the convention was over, the commentator, I'm not even sure what his name is, takes calls from Democrats, Republicans, or Independents, and then text. In the 4 days and 71 calls that I listened to, one person had negative, were not supporting Trump. Now, out of the 87 that I'm looking at the numbers. There were 10 independents, 40 Democrats, and that leaves the boundless Republicans. So there were more Democrats than Republicans that called in and were supporting Trump. Now I don't know if that's the boost they get from the convention, possibly. Interestingly enough, the people that were the Democrats that were calling in favor of President Trump were from, historical, notoriously blue states. New York City, Long Island, Jericho, Long Island, California, New Mexico, which, okay, a little purple, but typically, a Democratic state. And like I said, I haven't checked the boost yet. I think President Trump's going to get a boost, but every candidate gets a boost after their convention. With the exception of this year, when actually President Trump got a boost after the first 2 days of the Republican convention, the Democratic convention. That was a mistake. No, well. Okay, this is unscripted, so sometimes I slip up. So getting back, the Democratic convention was, pretty lackluster. It was a bunch of small skits or productions, because again, it's Hollywood, putting on some shows, and the Republican convention were people walking up to a podium, talking about the candidates, and with a few productions mixed in, but the majority were people, just speaking. It's going to be interesting. After looking at things reasonably and unbiased, the president has produced the things that he said he was going to produce. Now, some people might not like that, some people believe in open borders and letting illegal, or what's the politically correct term, undocumented aliens, and rioters, demonstrators that burn down buildings and throw bicycle racks through windows, and that might be a thing, and that's great. Other people, and maybe it's because I'm getting a little older now, I believe in immigration. I think anybody that wants to come here should be able to apply to come here, but you can't just march through the wall or swim across the river and get here and stay here. And I agree that the Dreamers should get citizenship. I also believe that the Bertha's parents should not get citizenship. I believe that people that are undocumented, that people that are undocumented shouldn't be on the dole. Healthcare in a hospital is, or is a right that anybody that's here has the right to take advantage of. But I don't believe that illegal immigrants or undocumented aliens should get Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, unemployment. I don't believe they should be here, honestly. I agree that, again, I agree with the basic Republican tenet of immigration, that you should fill out a visa, come here, apply for for a green card, apply for citizenship, and and like as the I believe it was the second day of the Republican convention, the president swearing in, well, the president observing the swearing by Wolf of 4, 5, I don't remember exactly, naturalized citizens. It was great. It was very touching, and I think that's the way it should be. I don't believe in sanctuary cities. I don't believe that the government should give money during this COVID to pay for cities or states run by either party that are deeply in debt and in deficit, aside from what they would be in the COVID circumstances. I mean, so if and from what I recall, that was taken care of in the third bill. So cities like New York City, states like New York, states like California, got a bunch of money to cover their losses, to that point in during COVID-19. If there's a fourth or fifth or sixth bill or whatever, I lost count. I think that the cities and the states should get some type of remuneration for the what the pandemic has cost them, but they should not get money to support their loose habits over the last how many generations. I grew up in New York City, and then moved to New Jersey, and I'm just down in Florida, 4.5 years, 4 years, and I see a difference in the way cities and states are run. I kind of leave it there. New York, I won't. Well, New York and New Jersey have substantial deficits in the state, not let alone the cities that I lived in before the pandemic. Florida has, run a balanced budget or a positive cash flow, at least as long as I've been here, and I imagine for years. It's just the way it's run. There's no income tax in Florida. There's all kinds of taxes up north in New York and New Jersey. And again, I know I'm spouting on this and kind of got off on the topic because again, but you know what? I mean, I can talk about the positives that were documented in the Republican convention. I could talk about the negatives that were put forth in the Democratic convention. I do know that based on what I've watched yesterday, or for the last 4 days in the Republican convention, President Trump has done what he said he was going to do. And again, you might not have agreed with those things, but he certainly did what he said he was going to do. So, with that, my recommendation to everybody is you vote your conscience. If you think that you want to live in a country that was, that President Trump put together, with the economy and unemployment, lowest unemployment and all that stuff, that's fine. Vote that way. If you believe that, anybody that wants to come here should be able to come here regardless of, legality or that type of stuff. I'm concerned. Well, if you want to, move to the left, if you want to move as far to the left as you can, without falling off the cliff, by all means, vote Democratic. If you want to think law and order is important, maybe to grow, if your kids growing up or your grandchildren growing up, go in that direction. If you think that peaceful protesters that I said that burn down buildings and throw bicycle racks through bank windows is the right thing, then go that way. If you think that Black Lives Matter, go in that direction. If you think that all lives matter, go in the other direction. In my opinion, every life is important. I mean, I'm pro-choice, but I'm against abortion. In my own, obviously I wouldn't ever need one, but I've always been anti-abortion in my world. But I believe that people should have the choice, and abortion should be rare, right? Legal, safe, and rare. So, if you believe that fetuses should be able to be aborted right to the point that they're born, or maybe in some states a little bit further than that, Virginia, you listening? Then vote that way. I mean, you have to vote your conscience. I know there's people out there that love President Trump, but don't vote for President Trump just because you love him. If his record has appealed to you, vote that way. For the other people, there's plenty of people out there that hate President Trump, and if you just vote against President Trump because you hate him, you might want. I think you should still look at the platforms, and look objectively, and decide what kind of world you'd like to live in. For at least for the next 4 years. Maybe when we're gone and our children and grandchildren are running the show, it'll be a completely different world, and it probably will be. But right now, it's this world. So I know I've spoken a little bit longer than I usually do, and I kind of rambled a bit, and I might have spoken about certain things that I really didn't want to speak about, and I'm sorry if I offended anybody. Please subscribe to me, I Am the Liberal Conservative, and put the notify, and then you'll get notified whenever I put something out. And I'll be talking to you again the next time something in my craw. And stay safe and be good, and God bless you.